Introduction. While nation-states have always desired boundaries, the significance and shape of those borders have changed over time. Rachel St. John. The history of the border between Mexico and the United States extends alongside 200 years and 2,000 miles, the tortuous epic of a man-made line that has not only hardened and become more solid over time, but has changed meanings too. In the beginning, it was an idea, the approximate and inhospitable edge of the vast Spanish Empire and the beginning of no man's land. Then it was a line on paper, a porous boundary with no physical barriers. In times of peace, it was a place of trade and cooperation. In times of conflict, it was the point where two different peoples clashed, as well as the meeting of the North and South of international geopolitics. 2 centuries ago, the border was formed by vast deserts and dangerous regions in which nobody wanted to live, a vaguely defined and surveyed boundary. Today, in the second decade of the 21st century, despite being located in one of the most inclement habitats in the world, it is also the world's busiest. It functions like a country in itself, considering the volume of economic operations carried out across the line, not to mention being one of the most monitored regions of the planet. Some experts have even called it a low warfare zone. Consider, for comparison's sake, the border between Belgium and the Netherlands, where crossing means going from one pub to another, and it is hardly realized when one leaves one nation or the other. Or consider the open limits of Poland and Ukraine, which consists of beautiful green pastures decorated with all kinds of art. How did the border of Mexico and the United States transition from a wilderness to an overpopulated, violent, dynamic, buoyant, culturally dynamic land in such a relatively short time, where a plethora of legal and illegal goods cross in both directions? Curiously, there was a time when the two countries were not even neighbors. France was between them, possessing the vast land of the Louisiana Territory, where Napoleon wanted to establish a French empire in the Americas. At that time, Mexico had the official but artificial name of New Spain, misleading since atlases from the 16th century had already named it America Mexicana, and the United States was approximately the size of the present-day United Kingdom and Ireland combined. The disturbances in Europe soon put the two most conspicuous countries of the continent side by side. These two North American nations garnered the world's attention in the 19th century. From the beginning, their relationship was hard and tense, and their coexistence was complicated from the start, as Mexico and the United States inherited the rivalry of the empires that colonized them, Spain and England, two kingdoms in eternal conflict. Also, history shows what happens when two great civilizations are put together side by side, like France and Spain or China and India. Mexico is the cradle of advanced civilizations, boasts a people proud of its history and deep cultural roots, and is a colossus of yesteryear that looks with nostalgia at its glorious past. Mexico already had a university when the eastern coast of the United States was covered with virgin forests. The United States was born in 1776, with an unstoppable work ethic that quickly transformed it into a modern empire that, although some see signs of decay, continues to be the most prosperous and powerful country on earth. The border that unites these two giants, two distinct peoples not only ethnically but culturally, spiritually, and ideologically, is also the place where the post-industrial society meets the developing world. For these reasons, and taking into account the sharp income disparity, their shared border is one of the most burdened in the world. Once the United States was established as a country, the dynamics were clear: absorption and expansion toward the south and west. However, the process was the opposite in Mexico, shrinking and retracting toward the south, with populations moving northward. The result has been similar to that of waves crashing against a wall moving into the ocean. Alongside these moves, a third actor participated for more than 100 years in the border conflicts, namely, the peoples who were there before the Mexicans or the Americans, a race for whom the frontier never meant anything: the Native American Indians. Taking advantage of the line, the Indian tribes alternately used the protection of both sides in their desperate resistance against annihilation.